Good evening, everyone, and welcome to another edition of the FPL Addicts and Esports Live Fantasy Weekly Videocast and Podcast. On the agenda this week, we've got Liverpool faltering in the Premier League as a former Red makes them pay. We're wondering if this FA Cup weekend could spark Sheffield United in some form, and West Brom slip up as the Tangerines echo one of their own in Jackie Gillibrand as they win this week. A bit of winning form for Blackpool, which I'm sure Jack influenced, but more on that in a bit. We've got Appeal's puzzler, though, before we continue. 2 clues now, and if I remember, we'll give 2 midway through the podcast. Obviously, I've been forgetting to do that, so hopefully this week I'll do that. We had Roque Santa Cruz was the answer last week, obviously former Blackburn and Manchester City striker from Paraguay. But this week, the first of the 2 clues, I made 18 Premier League appearances across 2 clubs, and I'm a 3-time African Footballer of the Year. Let's see if that gives you any food for thought. Alongside me, as always, is my right-hand man from the commentary box. It is Elliot. Craig, Elliot, how are you tracking, mate?
I'm doing well, thank you, mate. It's a bit weird, actually, being your right-hand man today because I've been with you for the past few times we've done it, so it's back to normal now, I think, but we'll have to sort that out at some point again. But no, I'm doing well, thank you, mate.
Yeah, definitely so. Obviously, we've had a bit of a studio going on just behind me here, but it's been a lot of fun. We're back to some sort of normality this week. In terms of results, we're not going to run through the Premier League ones from last weekend because that was a fair while away. Instead, we're going to run through all the Premier League teams in the FA Cup third round. All 20 teams came into the hat this week, but only 18 have played their games so far. The exceptions being that Stockport County, the National League side, haven't played West Ham at the time of recording yet. That'll be tomorrow morning. And Shrewsbury Town were unable to fulfill their fixture against Southampton. That was postponed due to some COVID worries. But all 18 of the clubs in the Premier League played their games. Aston Villa lost 4-1 to Liverpool. Wolves beat Crystal Palace 1-0. Sheffield United got their first win of the season away at Bristol Rovers. Everton beat Rotherham 2-1. Blackpool, as we've already mentioned, won on penalties against Sam Allardyce's West Bromwich Albion. Fulham won a West London derby away at QPR. Burnley needed a 95th minute goal, I believe it was 94th or 95th, and penalties to get past MK Dons, but did so 4-3 on penalties. Stoke lost to Leicester 4-0. Arsenal beat your side, Newcastle 2-0 at home. Manchester United beat Watford 1-0. Chelsea smashed Morecambe at home 4-0. Manchester City routed Birmingham 3-0 at the Etihad. Marine, the Northwest Counties side, finally their run came to an end 5-0. Tottenham won after a hat-trick from Vinicius. Newport County this morning was absolute heartbreak against Brighton and Hove Albion. They lost on penalties after a late-own goal, sent that game into extra time. And as we've already mentioned, Stockport County and West Ham has not yet been played. Elliot, so just to flash back, we will put the results on the screen from last game week 17. They're on the screen there. All the screens are there. And we've got your 3 shocks from last week, Elliot, game week 17. Far away, mate.
Thank you, Ollie. Game week 17 feels like ages ago now, but it has ended. And in terms of FPL, the average was 56 points and the highest score was 129 points. But let's get on to my top 3 FPL shocks of the week. Firstly, with the biggest shock of the week, we have Scotsman and Arsenal left-back Kieran Tierney, who managed a goal, assist, clean sheet and 3 bonus points in Arsenal's 4-0 demolition of Big Sam's West Brom. Secondly, we have Tierney's North London rival, in Spurs centre-half Toby Alderweireld, who in Spurs' 3-0 win over Leeds got 13 points, which amounted from a goal, clean sheet and a single bonus point. Finally, we have Man City youngster Phil Foden, who rewarded his owners, including me in draft, but more on that later, with 14 points in game week 17. Foden got a goal, assist, 3 bonus and a clean sheet point as he was subbed off before Callum Hudson-Odoi's consolation goal for Chelsea. Also within game week 17, we had the introduction of the FPL Cup for the season. The FPL Cup is an event which is run for many years now in the Premier League. The way it works, if you're ranked around the top 4.2 million teams in game week 16, you are then randomly drawn against another FPL manager who also managed to qualify. The way the cup works is simple. If you outscore your opponent in that game week, the same way a head-to-head fantasy league would work, you progress to the next round and are drawn against another random FPL manager until only one remains. If a match ends in a draw, the winner is decided by the most goals scored from someone's team. Then it goes to the fewest goals conceded from someone's team, and then it goes to a coin toss if it is still a tie. The winner of the whole competition gets a variety of prizes courtesy of the Premier League. Now, the rest of the panel will be able to talk about their results later on when we review our teams for the week. But I was able to beat my opponent, Ali Alwar, 83-74, and have been drawn against my opponent from game week 18's match. But how about you, Ollie? How did you go, mate?
Yeah, I had a win myself as well. I beat Danura 80 points to 43. I'll get onto my team later, but didn't have a great week, this guy, and I got pretty lucky with some of my players, so I won that game there. Pretty resounding margin, and I'm playing against, and the person I'm playing against, I'm playing against. This is his team coming up on the screen. Decent score at 69 points, New Zealander. So we'll have to see if I can win this game, but I'm not really too sure. It should be a cracking game, and let's see how I get on. Now to introduce our guests for this week, the same two guests that we've had on right from the start. Matt, we'll start with you, mate. You stayed in Perth for a little while longer. You must be buzzing with life, especially that Tottenham result this morning.
Yeah, pretty happy. I can't complain with a FA Cup win. Was against Marine, but look, I'll take that, and hopefully Mourinho can take us all the way. We're long overdue an FA Cup, so yeah, I really want us to go far this season.
Long overdue a trophy, aren't you, mate?
Yeah, we are.
I was just going to say, since the last time we convened, obviously you got through to the final as well of the Carabao Cup as well against Brentford. Decent win there, so you could be actually on for a trophy this season. 2020's been weird, I know, but 2021 will be even weirder if Tottenham can grab a trophy. My word.
Oh, look, I hope so. Look, that's why we got Mourinho in. Doesn't matter about the way we do it. We just got to win a trophy. So if he comes in, wins a League Cup, gets us in the top four, then that's an achievement. We haven't won anything for 12 or 13 years now. So yeah, it's got to be done.
You'd think so. This year might be the one. Now to our next guest, we've got someone who definitely did influence Blackpool this the weekend just gone. You've surely still got some inside spies there, Jack, being a former coach yourself, and you've obviously helped Neil Critchley to a decent win, especially with your FPL form. You can't stop winning at the minute. Did you help Neil Critchley in any way with Blackpool over the weekend?
Passing on a bit of advice back to the old squad there, mate. A bit of inside info, like you said, and passed a few tips on to get them through and guide them through past Big Sam's team. I think it was look out for the long ball and send it back the other way. And a couple of penalty saves, and they did all right with the pool, didn't they? So fair play. Nice to see him doing well. But then obviously United, more importantly, getting through against Watford with our second team, which was nice.
But back into the FPL sphere of things, we've got our mini league review as always. Before we do that, though, we're just going to run through our teams ever so quickly. I'll start with myself, hopefully, if I can bring the share screen up. And as we've said, I obviously won that cup game, and I won it pretty resounding with a really, really good score. For once, I actually scored pretty well. It's been a long time in between drinks, you'd say. I've had some pretty horrendous scores in the past few weeks, but finally, I am back fit and firing. Rob Holding and Pablo Mari, the two outside shouts from Arsenal, they were able to turn up with a clean sheet. I think Rob Holding also got an assist. He did so he got a double-figure score. Eric Dyer, so those North London defenders really helping out. Harry Kane, obviously the captain shout. Obviously, he's reliable as ever from 12 yards, and you're loving that when he sticks one away. 24 points as my captain, and also had some brilliant contributors from my midfield. So 84 points inside the top 200,000 in terms of the game week rank. So I'm pretty happy with that. Finally, I get a decent score. Obviously, that's down to 80 with the transfers, but we'll take that. We'll move on. Let's see if I can actually get a good run of form instead of being absolutely subpar for most of it. Jack, now moving on to you. Obviously, you're flying at the minute. I think I was looking before, and I think for December or something, you were in the top 5 managers in our league. So you're on really good form, and it shows no sign of stopping.
No, listen, we've had a great run of form since November. I'll just bring my share screen up here now. Everything's looking good. Obviously, I took your Rob Holding shout. He was a great little asset to get in. He got those 10 points in there, Ollie. So that was a good shout from you, mate, for once. I think you might have got lucky with that, haven't you?
Possibly.
But it works well. 77 points in this one. Really happy with it. Good midfield. I thought Rashford might hit, and then obviously Salah obviously was quiet in that fixture, wasn't he? But it's just nice to be back as well, lads. I feel like it's been a while since we've all been back together, so it's nice to talk a bit of FPL and and showcase where am I now? I'm 16th in the league. We've come from the hundreds, the triple figures, now into the top 20. So I thought you were going to have a little party for me. Has he gone?
He's frozen.
He's frozen. It was that good.
He's gone.
That was a good party. Is this a surprise one now?
No, he's getting the surprise up now. That's what he's doing.
he's getting the confetti cannons out. But it's going through the team. Obviously, Holding did really well there. McCarthy picks up that late injury for Southampton.
Souček. Sorry, Jack, but I've got to quickly butt in and say Souček.
Absolutely flying. Was he 5 in 10 now, Matt? Is that? I think that's what he grabbed.
Yeah, unreal, mate. Like he's got, I think his points per game at the moment are like 7 points per game or whatever since I told you to put him in, mate. And I'm gutted I didn't copy. I'm so gutted. I wish I'd done it now.
So you
Unreal.
said he scored 5 out of 10 weeks. Sorry,
5 out of 10 game weeks, I think it is. So what
I
we say?
swear-
5 out of 9. 5 out of 9, is it? Or 5 out of 10?
whenever West Ham play, I swear he's the only ever person to score a goal. I don't know how he's not top scorer in the league by now.
Yeah,
but
they're all
he's the
crap
only
goals. He
person.
just gets in the right positions and he just hits him and goes in. But that's what you want for that price.
Oh, for
Unbelievable.
that price, he's on massive returns, and yeah, it's been great in there. Fernandez captained him, and obviously Justin had a quiet week, and Chilwell was against City on it, and they took a pounding. So not great in that respect, but Prince Harry hit. So yeah, happy
Justin
days
killed us. He was a minute away from 9. He was on 9 points, and then he got a yellow card and conceded a goal, didn't he? And
it all came crashing down. But yeah, really happy with that. 77 points, and in the cup, I beat my opposition, so I'm through to the next round as well. Won 77 to his 51. I'm against Divala this week. He got 64, so he had a pretty decent score. So it'd be interesting to see what happens and what his team looks like this week with the crazy game week that we're in.
Definitely so. And I mean, a lot of teams are blanking at this point as well. We've got a lot of blank game week, got blank players in this game week. So obviously Liverpool's another massive one in that regard, but we'll have to see how that affects things. Matt, over to you. Your share screen is ready and raring to go. Is it going to be displaying a decent score?
Oof. Yeah, it was a good score this week. I was pretty happy. Should have been more with Justin though. I was fuming about that. Like to go from 9 points and just swing to 1. But yeah, other than that, I'm pretty happy. Happy with Son, 26 points. He could have had another goal. I don't like putting in Arsenal players, but I had to do it this week. I put Smith Rowe in. It was about 5 million. It might have been 4.4 million.
He's 4.4. He's absolutely flying.
4.4 million, yeah. And had to. It was the price that got me. I actually can't even. You know what? It's been that while since the game weeks. I can't remember who I put him in for. It might have been Zaha.
Yeah.
And yeah, had to be done. He got 9 points. Can't complain. Harry Kane, Fernandez, Mitchell come off my bench and got me a clean sheet. So he's starting games now. Kufau, Forster was the one as well. I was pretty happy with that. So kept the. I tend to just have a first team goalkeeper as number 1, and then always the backup goalie as number 2 from the same team. And that worked perfectly this week, especially with their win against Liverpool. So yeah, pretty happy. A bit disappointed with Che Adams getting the concussion. Couldn't play. But yeah, I can't complain with 81 points. Some green arrows. Starting to slowly recover. Got the captain right, and I won in the cup. So yeah, happy with that. And here's to the second half of the season now. So it's time to build from here.
It definitely is. And in terms of your FPL Cup match, how did you get on there?
Yeah, I won. I think it was a close one though. I think the Forster. I believe the Forster clean sheet might have just got me over the line. There we go, 81.72.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so 76. There we go. So that Forster clean sheet on the last day really got me through. So I was a bit worried. I thought I was going to get knocked out, and then
it left 7 points on the bench as well. Oof.
Yeah, I was happy with that, and because Salah blanked as soon as I saw Salah blanked, and hadn't as I was watching the highlights and didn't think he was going to score, and I was getting a bit worried. But yeah, happy to win. He's got a good side as well, so I'll take that. I think his captain killed him.
Typical Newcastle fan, though, always losing now.
Yeah,
wrong.
at the moment,
still on his bench, so did well to keep him there, definitely. But
yeah, definitely. So all of us through then. Great to see. Obviously, let's see how we go in the second round of the cup. Obviously, hopefully we all win and we just keep this train rolling. The FPL addicts and esports lads absolutely flying, except me, says Statman Dave in the chat. So commiserations. Let's have maybe a moment's silence for Dave, who obviously didn't quite progress. 1 point, of course it was. He's been saying that he was absolutely fuming. He lost by a single point. So Statman's obviously out of the cup, which is a bit frustrating, but there's always next year, as they say. So moving on to the mini league roundup then. We'll just go into that, and finally, I'm on a bit of an upward arrow in the league, up into 13th spot, which is quite nice, to be honest. Elliot still tops that league.
Look, he's top.
10.6k overall rank. just outside the top 10. He's absolutely flying. Tom
Come
Stone's
on,
dropped
Craig.
down to third. So obviously his early season form's dipping a little bit. We've got Max as well, who's a guest. He's in 6th. We got Joe, also obviously the barber himself. He's in 4th. So there's a lot of good advice coming through this podcast. So obviously the guests we've got are absolutely flying. I'm in 13th spot. Finally some green arrows in this league. Feels like an absolute age since I got some green arrows. Jilla's Killer's 16th spot. You know what? We're absolutely flying. We're too good at this game, honestly. Jack, top 20. You must be absolutely buzzing with that, surely.
Absolutely delighted, boys. It's I'm ready to quit the game. I'll stop it. I'll stop here. I told you. Got that top 20. It's been a tough journey. We've had some highs, we've had some lows, but we've had a great December. That was the only good thing about 2020. I think was my form in December, boys.
At least you found some sort of solace in that year. We're looking now for Matt. There he is, 35th. You've not cracked the 1,000-point barrier yet, which is a bit frustrating. Just inside the top 500,000 in the world. You'll obviously get to that 1,000-point barrier by the end of this game week, but you just need to be picking up a little bit, Matt. A bit of an upturn, but you just need to be kicking on now.
You know what it is, mate. It's getting that captain right. I think if I can get it right this week, then it should help me. So see how we go. Green arrows. I'm going to take some inspiration from Elliot's. Going up to top, I think he was about 80 points off top at one stage, and then obviously Jack's managed to go from bottom of the league to top 20 pretty well. So there's a long way to go.
Any advice, anytime, mate? You just ask. Don't be afraid to ask. All right.
I think Suchek is the best advice you could give him, Jack. To be honest, get on with Suchek.
Yeah. Wish I'd never done. Actually, no. What? I'm happy. I helped you with that one because it's all about getting you up that league.
I mean, internally he's not. Internally we're not. It's all a lie. But of course he's got to turn up for the podcast and say he's happy with it, even though he's just obviously boosted his rival to a spot above him in the league. One person outside the top 20 that we're overlooking at the minute is Not Lob Wanderers. I'm sure he was higher at one point, Tom Southworth, but 90 points makes him the manager of the week. Decent score just inside the top 50,000 in the game week. He's got a few decent players there. Have a look at that. Aaron Cresswell, 11 points, double figures. Nails a Harry Kane shout as well. Heung-min Son also turning up. Bruno Fernandes, double figures. So a really, really good score from him. He'll earn himself $10 worth of Esports Live credit, which can be used for cash pool and prizes. So if you think you're good enough, try and get in some of those competitions. We've got NBA 2K, FIFA, Rocket League, and PES. So get those competitions entered into.
He's one of my mates from back home. Is Tom Southworth.
Yeah, I think he's dipped a little bit, but obviously a great week.
I think he joined like game week 5 and he was top of the league, or like maybe second or something. He came in about 500 points, I think it was, and everyone was like, "Whoa!" And then he's the steady decline.
But definitely a brilliant week for him. There, 90 points is nothing to be sniffed at in any week, not least this one. So he'll get that $10 credit through to him soon enough. So now on to the second part of Peely's puzzle. I've remembered to include it this time. So here you go. The second lot of clues. I was the first African Ballon d'Or winner in 1995. And the last clue, I'm currently the president of my country. So a bit of a political head as well there. Do you know the answer? Let's see. We'll reveal it at the start of next week's podcast. One thing we don't need to wait too long for, though, is Matt's Guru section. It's going to be an absolute mammoth one, this one. Got a lot to talk about with the FA Cup just gone, the double game week, the blank game week. Got absolutely loads to digest. So, Matt, fire away.
Nice one, Ollie. Look, we've got an interesting game week this week with the blank game week. It's the first blank game week of the season, so I'm sure we'll see many more. But yeah, we'll start with my ones to watch. Really, really difficult to pick at the moment because you just don't know what fixture is or isn't going to go ahead. So I've got a few in there this week. There's a couple of surprises. First one I'm going to go with, they're all differentials this week. So if you are free hitting, you might want to look at a couple of these, or even if you're just making general transfers. First one I'm going to go with is Raheem Sterling. Look, there's a rumour that he did get a bit of a knock and he missed the FA Cup game last night as a result. But if he gets the go ahead and is fit, 5.6% ownership. Believe he's returned in the last 6 or 7 game weeks now. So home to Brighton at 5.6% is going to be a huge differential, especially if you don't know who to captain. And then we go through. I hate putting the Arsenal guys in, but I've got to do it. It's all about the getting the points for fantasy league. So Lacazette, 7.1%, really, really big differential at the moment. Just come off 2 goals against West Brom. So definitely one to look out for if you need a striker. Another striker, Jack will like this one, is going to be Anthony Martial, 6.1% ownership. That is very low. Looks like he's got the striker spot in the bag for the Burnley game as well. You'd expect him to come away with at least a goal, maybe an assist. Another one I've gone with is a bit of a surprise. I didn't want to just go with all of the usual sort of suspects, so I've tried to really keep this to differentials. Richarlison, 4.1%. I think it's just a good alternative to Dominic Calvert-Lewin. It is a tough game away at Wolves, but we're looking at differentials, very, very low ownership. Seems to do pretty well for Everton when he plays in most games. And then the last one, this is a very, very big surprise. Elliot would like this. There's been a few rumours. Elliot did mention it to me earlier on today about Callum Wilson potentially having COVID, and he might not be able to play for Newcastle this week. So Steve Bruce hasn't actually confirmed if he's fit yet. So we may see Dwight Gale get a game, and he's currently 0% ownership in FPL. So if the news comes through that Wilson isn't going to play, and Andy Carroll, who played in the FA Cup, if they don't play him and they go with Dwight Gale, you're going to have a huge, huge differential there because he's currently owned by no one. So, potentially one to look out for, struggling Sheffield United team. And he has scored goals this season. I think he got a goal not so long ago against West Brom. Elliot might be able to confirm that for me, but he come off and the bench and got 9 points, and he's had a couple of okay scores. So, yeah, he's definitely a differential if Callum Wilson's out. Otherwise, you might have Joel Linton in there, but Dwight Gale, 0% ownership. You just never know. Could be one to keep on your bench if you're doing a free hit.
Matt, I don't wish to rain on your parade, but just a quote from Steve Bruce after that Arsenal game. I've just got it up here. Asked why Wilson and Shelvey were not involving us Arsenal. This is from the Shields Gazette. Bruce said, purely precaution. Hopefully we'll leave it with the medical people and they will be ready for Tuesday. So there's from Steve Bruce after that game against Arsenal. So if Callum Wilson is fit to play, I wouldn't give Dwight Gale a run, but maybe an outside shout if Wilson doesn't feature, that Dwight Gale maybe could get, on the pitch, maybe bag 1 or 2, and who knows? It's a brilliant shout if that happens, of course. One player I'm surprised that you've omitted from that differentials list that I know we have talked about in the earlier in the podcast is Emil Smith-Rowe. Obviously getting a bit more attention now, but his price is surely too good to ignore, and he's surely got low ownership still.
Yeah, he does. Look, he's in the. You'll see later on. He is in one of the features this week. I think I didn't want to go too heavy on Arsenal. Already had Lacazette there, and then although I don't really necessarily trust Dwight Gale to actually start, it was just when I heard those Wilson rumours. I thought, putting Zon at 0% could be a good one, and couldn't quite fit Smith-Rowe in because I just thought, put the one Arsenal player in should do. But no, he's definitely a good shout, and he's very cheap as well.
All right, then now moving on to your 3 teams to watch for the upcoming game week. Who have you gone with?
Yeah, it's going to have to be Man United. Jack will be happy with that away at Burnley. They've been the form team other than the Carabao Cup defeat to City. They remind me of flat track bullies. They seem to kind of beat all the smaller teams. Can't win the big games, but seem to hammer all the smaller teams. So definitely got to be looking at United. Man City at home to Brighton. Hard to look past them. I wanted to put Newcastle in there against pretty poor Sheffield United, but apologies, Elliot. I just couldn't quite fit you in after the way you've looked in the last couple of game weeks. So I've put my own team Spurs in there if it goes ahead, because I'm thinking Aston Villa might be quite light on players if the Villa Spurs game goes ahead, and then if it does get changed to the potentially changed to Spurs v Fulham, then again it's a good home fixture. So some tough ones this week. So there's actually not too many games, so definitely going to have to go through the two Manchester clubs and Spurs are my 3 teams to watch, and that's if Spurs goes ahead. If it doesn't go ahead, I'll put Arsenal in there. But although they've been on good form, Palace have had a couple of good results as well lately, and they're quite solid, and they do look a lot better with Zaha. So happy to go with those 3 clubs.
Yeah, just a bit of an update from our resident Newcastle fan, Elliot. He says he doesn't blame you for not including Newcastle in your 3 teams to watch, and he did confirm that Dwight Gale did score a bullet header against West Brom. So fair play on that call, but yeah, he agrees with you there that Newcastle shouldn't be players to look out for. Which obviously they've got the easiest team in the league on paper at the minute, but still not going with the Geordies, which is probably fair enough on form. In terms of your captain picks, I guess you're going away from Tyneside. Where have you gone?
Yeah, look, I actually still, even though I've sort of not put Newcastle down as one of my teams, I've still put Wilson down because if he does play, if he gets the green light from Steve Bruce, he's definitely worth a shout with his record this season and his penalty. So I've got Wilson on there. Of course, I've gone with the usuals. Fernandez, I think he's my top captain pick, just on his form and especially his away form. Kevin De Bruyne. Harry Kane is definitely up there again, especially if the game gets changed to Fulham. But then even with Villa, he's got a very, very good record against Aston Villa. He got a couple of goals there when they were last in the Premier League as well. So they were in the Premier League last season, but I think he did score there. Scores against him most games. I've put Sterling down as well. I think he's a great shout this weekend. We mentioned him as a differential. And then if we're going curveball, I've had him before actually as a curveball, but just because of his ownership of 6.1% and not many people having him, it's going to have to be Martial. Although he does like to fall on the floor and dive a lot, he does score goals and win penalties, so I'm going to have to throw him in there as my curveball.
Definitely, just as well. Back to Elliot just quickly, says it's never easy for Newcastle on form and Sheffield United. Just quickly, while I can, I'm just going to put this one on record just quickly. 07-08, I'd like to take you back to, which was the season that Derby obviously went down. Record low 11 points. Their only win was against Newcastle at home. Newcastle at home at Pride Park. Could we see lightning strike twice? Sheffield United obviously playing at home against Newcastle at Bramall Lane. So let me just put that one on record in case it happens. That one obviously could happen, and maybe it's Sheffield United's solitary win for the season against Newcastle at home. Let's see if history repeats itself once again. Onto your Scout 11 then, Matt. These have been flying, even when you've been a bit off colour in FPL. These teams have been absolutely on fire for you lot. Where have you gone this week, and do you reckon you'll get a good score again?
Yeah, look, I've actually focused it on a Scout squad this week, so I didn't want to go and just put an 11 out there. Just based on if this Spurs game does get called off, I think you're going to need to have some players on the bench. Or if any game gets called off last minute, I think you're going to really need to have a strong bench because you just don't know at the moment. So, yeah, look, we've sort of had a bit of a laugh about Newcastle, but it's hard to turn around and not put Darlow in there because even when Newcastle concede, he gets a lot of points, bonus points, save points. I would have even still liked to have Martinez in there, even if the Spurs game had gone ahead. I know we're probably going to score, but he's a save machine this season. But I've gone Darlow, Eric Dyer. I think he's a really good one to have this season. A solid defence for Spurs. Kieran Tierney. He was in my previous Scout 11 and ended up with 18 points. So going to keep with him. Cancelo gets forward for City, so not a bad shout. Bit of a different one. I'm looking at Gundagon. He didn't play on the weekend for City, and he's been on an absolute fire for them. I don't know if you boys watched the Chelsea Man City game, but he could have come out of that game with a hat trick. He was absolutely phenomenal. Seems to be the starting man now in the Premier League. So yeah, if you've got a space for a cheap sort of sub rotation and you want a City player, definitely one to watch. Fits well within the squad as well. Pedro Neto, good form. Fernandez, captain's armband. I don't even have to say anything there. He's probably going to get a penalty. Kevin De Bruyne, well worth it as well. I would have liked Sterling as well, but just safety with De Bruyne. And then a front three, Harry Kane, good goal record against Villa if it goes ahead. Has to be in there really. Martial against Burnley. Really liking him in there. Lacazette seems to be the form man. I do think it'll be quite a tight game, but again, can't look past form. And then bench, which we'll talk about this week. Pickford was really the only second goalkeeper I could get in there that I could afford without breaking the 3 players per team rule. So got him in there. So, if Newcastle game gets called off because of COVID, you've got a backup goalie. Smith Rowe. probably could have fitted him into that starting 11, but I didn't want to go too heavy on Arsenal in case they, did drop points. And preferring Gundagon in there over him. Clark from Newcastle. Again, if the Spurs game gets called off, you've got a sub coming on against Newcastle. And then Mitchell, I think he's about 3.9 million. So again, if a game's called off, he's the last sub, but it's still an option just to come off and get a point or maybe two, or you never know, maybe a clean sheet, you just don't know. So yeah, I think this week if you've got a wild card or a free hit, then yeah, you're going to have to really look at the squad, because we've seen the last couple of game weeks you can get burnt quite easily. So yeah, it's tough. I think it's definitely a solid squad. Probably wouldn't be the exact 11 I would want, but in terms of safety and actually having 11 players, because you don't want to waste a free hit once you use it. You don't want to waste it. So
definitely not sound advice. Decent players there. I will talk about Smith Rowe, obviously, again, because he's, come into the Arsenal squad. I think he scored at the weekend as well. Elliot obviously didn't watch the Arsenal-Newcastle game. He did score again. So he's one on form. And Pedro Neto, obviously, doing well. And I'm just looking at Gundagan, sorry, who's in there starting as Brighton. Slightly defensive, he's known for a little bit. Or, at least not knowing for getting on the score sheet. Why have you gone with Gundagan and Neto against someone like Smith Rowe, who is fitting, firing for Arsenal at the minute?
Yeah, look, I've gone Neto just purely on form. He seems to be getting goals or assists in recent weeks. He had a really good performance against Chelsea. There was a game against us where he got an assist in that one. Seems to be the main man at Wolves. I think with Podence injured as well, he's a good option. And then Gundagan, just purely based off the game against Chelsea, he was just absolutely phenomenal. Everywhere. I think he got a double-digit haul potentially. Got a nice rest on the weekend, and he may even be on penalties. Obviously, there is De Bruyne, but yeah, there's something about him. I think if you look at his points this season, he's had a few home games where he's come out and got a pretty good score. I think there was another game, it might have been the Fulham one or the Burnley one. I think it was a Fulham one. He'd come out and got another double-digit score. So it's probably why he edges it over Smith Rowe for me, but. Yeah, it's a tough one. Again, this is purely just a squad game, and I think I'd rather a City player on there against Brighton than an Arsenal player, and that's not being biased. That's just based on the fact City are a better team, and Brighton are definitely weaker than Palace for me.
Just to back that up as well, that Gundagan's hit 33. I just looked on his stats, and 33 points in his last 4 game weeks. So he's definitely a man in form.
Really, he's been huge for them. I just could not believe how good he was in that Chelsea game, and yeah, he was on the end of everything. So it really caught my eye. Yeah, probably one I could have added to the differentials, to be honest.
He's been out of form for a while now, to be honest. Since pretty much the whole of the season, he hasn't been great, but he's turned out the past few weeks definitely. So he's changed his season around for sure.
Might be helping with KDB playing that false 9 sort of role. Might be helping him find a few more spaces, possibly.
Yeah. I think so, and they've put Rodrigo in there as well, back in the midfield, and Gundagan seems to have a little bit more freedom again. So just say what, Ollie. Yeah, put that Chelsea City highlights on, or the mini match, and then you'll you just wouldn't believe. I just couldn't believe it. Absolutely brilliant in that game, Gundagan.
He absolutely spun Thiago Silva, didn't he, for his goal? Just
unreal.
Sent him to the shops.
Left him for dead. Yeah, good team though, Matt. Liking the 3-4-3. It's good players and good squad, as you said, rather than the team.
Yeah,
so maybe,
squad. Definitely a squad.
If someone is looking for a team, maybe just look at even getting Sterling in, possibly, like you said. But
or Rashford, Sterling.
Yeah, or Rashford. Yeah, but I've messed around with mine a few times. I've definitely been flirting with this free hit.
Yeah,
definitely tempted. Saka, yeah, and who else was it? Even Rob Holding even found his way into mine, staying there as well.
Yeah, Rob Holding. I think as well, like even looking at the Newcastle game, like that could easily end 0-0. It could.
It's a Newcastle, of course it will.
Yeah, and you could look at it and think there's going to be someone out there who's going to triple the Newcastle defence or put the goalkeeper and 2 defenders in, and they're probably going to end up with a nice 0-0 draw. So now the free hit's an interesting one. I think we were saying strategy-wise, if you can get 8 or 9 on the park and you've got Fernandes in your team, probably don't really need to free hit. because there's going to be a lot of blank game weeks and COVID fixtures. But if you've got 6 or below, then yeah, you're probably going to want to get the free hit in there. So yeah, interesting one this week.
Yeah, I'll tell you how that Newcastle game is going to go. Just quickly, obviously Sheffield United. Obviously, he's going to go to Greg's first of all. He's going to get his steak bake, and he's just going to stick 10 men and the keeper behind the ball. So we just be chilling there with his steak bake, and he's just got every single man behind the ball. And Sheffield United are just going to just be frustrated. It's going to be 0-0. That's how it's going to go. I reckon it's going to be a clean sheet, both sides 0-0, point apiece. See you later. But let's hope it's a more exhilarating game than that. Definitely a good team though, Matt. With that 3-4-3, let's see how it gets on. Great Guru section once again. So now moving on to draft, and obviously you can see we've got the table on the screen. Jilla's Killers reign supreme once more. He's got a 3-point lead over Matt, who's gone above me, which I'm pretty fuming about. Didn't give Dave enough credit. I was talking too much about his mid-table games. He's gone and beat me. He's currently in 4th with Elliot, who's doing pretty well. He's getting a few wins on the board. Now he's was sparked into life that game against Rolando, and since then he's turned the corner. He's on top of James, 2 points clear of him. He's on 19, who's clear of the Mac lads on 12, and then Rolando on 7 points. We'll have a look at the results that got them there. And as we've said, he's not coming on this week. Is Disco Dave's got a bit of a party going on at his house, but he's beat me pretty comfortably there. 9 points, decent margin. Matt's doubled Rolando's score, 58-29. Absolutely smashing win for the Guru. Elliot, a pretty resounding win, another double plus, if you will, more than double, 42-20 over Nathan. And we have Jack Gillibrand, who's beaten James pretty handily as well. So a lot of one-sided games, a few landslides going on there. And we've seen how that's influenced the table. In terms of fixtures, I've got Rolando, so I really need to win there, to be honest. I need to get that win. Need to make up some ground on that top 2. Jack's got Statman Dave, so that's probably the match of the week, I'd say. That's a big game. It's a big game.
Worried.
Oh, come on, Dave, mate. I know you beat me last week. I need you to make amends and win this one. We've got Matt against Elliot, which in fairness, that's not too bad a game either, especially with Elliot's form and Matt in second spot. And we've got, my dad and James is, again, probably not up there. But
Burnley Fulham of the draft league, that isn't it?
I mean, I think so. It's a bit of a 6-pointer, to be honest, but we'll have to see how that one plays out. Match of the week, though, we'll just quickly run through. I think it is Statman Dave and Jack. Are we all in agreement there?
Oh yeah,
yeah, probably.
I think that's the big one in it, and it's showing how quickly things can change around here because Statman Dave is on the rise, isn't he? He's looking good, and he's with another win under his belt, he's well and truly in the race.
Well, yeah. Elliot, mate, I'm going to start with you for a bit of an analysis on this game. Obviously, we've got Jack, whose team's come up on the screen from last week, 50 points. Where do you reckon he could win this game with his team here? Do you reckon it'll come through attack? His midfield, obviously, he's got some good players there in Ward-Prowse and Saka, who done decent last week. Harry Kane, the big man himself up top. So where do you reckon he's going to get his points from, Elliot?
Those 2 up top, excluding Michael Antonio for the minute now, but Martial and Kane is where he's going to get his points from this week, I reckon, mate.
Definitely. Now I'll throw this one out to the Guru. Obviously, we've got Dave's team up on the screen. Now scrolling up and down, 48 points, so just a little bit less than Jack's 50 last week. Obviously, the first blank game week of the season. How do you think that's going to impact Dave's preparations for this game? And do you reckon he'll be able to sort them out and win the game against Jack, or do you reckon it'll be too big a problem?
Yeah, look, he's got some good ones in there. He's got Darlow, Diaz. So that's 2 pretty handy players, so you'd expect returns from them. Fernandez is always good to have. If the Villa Spurs game goes ahead, then you've got a penalty taker there. Pedro Neto, really good one to have. Let's have a quick check of his bench.
There we go. Joelinton, Yerry
Mings.
Yeah, so he's got Mina as well, and Mings if that goes ahead. He's got enough to get enough on the park. I think draft's such fine margins. You can win it by a point. I think this week it's just if you can get enough on the park. You don't want to mess your squad up though for the double game week the week after as well, because you'll end up backtracking and trying to get a load in. So it's all about getting a balance right this week. But yeah, Dave's definitely got if his team's dead like this, he's got probably enough on the park to get some points with his goalkeeper, Diaz, Fernandez, Pedro Neto, and to be honest, if maybe even Joelinton. I can't believe I'm saying that, but yeah.
Oh, bloody hell. 2020, 2021 is going to be weirder, as you said before, Ollie, if Matt's saying that.
Startman Dave says 7 missing unless I can get the waivers. That may well play into your hands, Jack. On that then, we'll just a one-word prediction from all 4 of you. One word. Jack, start with you. Is it going to be you winning or is it going to be Dave?
Just give me me.
Elliot?
Jack.
Ooh.
We'll go with the Guru.
Statman.
Oh,
I'm gonna go Jack as well. I think he's got too many players out. More than one word.
Boys,
Oh,
I think you want me to win, really. Come on, Max. If Dave gets the win, he sucked you right back in, mate.
Yeah, but what if I win and then I'll potentially go top? So
It depends if you want to go top now. Marathon, not a sprint, mate.
yeah, true. I just
swear
know
that's your mantra now.
Dave loves a transaction. I can just imagine him trading up as much of his squad to get 11 on the park. So
I reckon he's overhauled his team, money.
yeah.
Dave, can we get a bit?
Yes.
Can we get a bit of an analysis in the chat? And do you think how this one's going to go? Just a quick type in the chat, and we'll just see how you're looking for this week. Obviously, we can't bring him on this week. He's usually on all the time. He's a bit of a fixture of this one. Jack to win unless I get all my waivers, so he's not confident on how he's going, but I'm sure he'll overhaul his team and it'll be a decent game.
I'd love to know
Nonetheless,
how many he's got.
he's overhauled his team.
Can you not see what few transactions? Did you not see anything pending?
Not
You can't
yet.
see that
Not
now.
till tomorrow.
No.
We'll be able to see who he tried to get and stuff.
Fair enough. All the best, Dave.
It'll be
But not
interesting to
really.
see. It'll be interesting to see who he's brought in and whether he's overhauled his team. Could be like an FA Cup weekend for him. Just ring the changes. We'll have to see if it can get him the win or not. Could really shake up that top 4 of the draft division. But that wraps up yet another podcast. It's been a little while since the last one, so it's nice to get back, with the lads and see what we can get done in the world of FPL, mate. But Elliot, it's obviously, as we said a little while, are you confident going into this game week that you can obviously get back into the rhythm?
Yeah, fingers crossed, mate. I'm playing my free hit, I think, so we'll have to see how that goes. Fingers crossed it pays off. I'm always nervous when I play my big chips, but I think this is the time for me, definitely. So we'll just have to see, mate. But fingers crossed, 3 points for Newcastle as well, but that's more important than fantasy, so we'll have to see, mate.
We definitely will. So obviously best of luck with your FPL blank game weeks this weekend, and we'll be preparing for the double game week on the next podcast. But for now, take care and we'll catch you in a bit. Cheers.